Hey. Well, welcome to Storyboard Talk, brought to you by Atlanta Influences Everything and Fulton County Arts and Culture. Now, in case you haven't been to Storyboard before, I'm gonna give y'all a small little breakdown of what goes on at Storyboard. Storyboard is a talk series in which we feature an Atlanta icon to tell their story of trials and triumph. And today, we will be having our illustrator I apologize. Today, we will be having an illustrator drawing up the story as the conversation happens, thus the name Storyboard. And our artist is brought to you by Powerhouse Creatives. Not to hold anything up, we're gonna bring on our artist, J.R. Outlaw. Next up, we're gonna have and last but not least, our storyteller of tonight. Please make some noise for Fabo.
I'm not used to talking on mics, not really. How's everybody? Good, good. Thank you so much, Atlanta Influences Everything, for having me. I said in the caption, I'm geeked up to be here. So I think I'm just gonna dive right into it, if that's okay. I feel like your story hasn't really been properly told. So I would like to just start off with, who is Fabo? I mean, your real name is Fabian.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Little Fabian.
Who is Fabo?
Fabo is alter ego.
Okay.
I like to call him my real life alter ego.
Okay.
You know, I mean, Fabo, born in Bankhead, on the couch. I couldn't wait to get here. You know, raised in Perry Homes. You know. Then back to Bankhead, you know, so just street baby.
Right.
Fabo is a street baby.
Okay, and speaking of street baby, what was it like growing up on Bankhead? Because when I was coming up, Bankhead was a stretch of, a strip that you just didn't really want to go down. Yeah. My mom taught at Washington High School, and then she also taught at, it was like a little school inside.
Well, I went to Washington too.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to a lot of schools.
Well, tell me what was like growing up on Bankhead, because obviously it's drastically different with the, they've tore down a lot of the housing projects.
But I actually grew up in Perry Homes, you know what I mean? And, I was a church boy, a typical church boy, Mom used to be up there combing my afro at the bus stop every Sunday. And my mama was in the church real hard back then, so, we had to go to church on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We was at the picnic, all of that. I mean, literally, my church used to do like the sidewalk Sunday school stuff. On a weekday when you get out of school, I'll be the one out there putting the Bibles in the chair and stuff like that. Yeah, so growing up in Perry Homes, church boy. That's what I could say.
Okay. So obviously you mentioned church, but how did you get started in music? Was it the church?
Yeah, basically in church, always singing the songs, trying to know the hymns. I'll sing the brother next to you, but church boy. I mean, I guess that's where it really started at, but really, my mama always playing the radio. She was like probably the ones chasing the Jackson 5s. I like to tell people stuff like that, So, she was always into the music. So I guess, growing up in the house, hanging around the house all the time with mama, you're going to get those good songs out. So, it started at the house.
So who inspired you growing up musically?
I would say mama. She always singing, but I had a lot of inspiration. I mean, I listened to old Jackie Wilson, James Brown. I mean, I'm a Curtis Mayfield type of guy too, but we kind of came up in that Key Sweat era and all of that. So,
right.
So I guess H-Town, Key Sweat, Jodeci, those type of groups, because, I don't like to consider myself no rapper. I'm more of a singer, so a lot of singers influence me.
Okay, so how did rap get into the mix? Like, I mean, I was gonna point that out that most of your
I got a funny
influences
story.
are.
It's a funny story. Like I did a bid from '97 to '99, and once I got out, my brother had all of these tape recorders all up over the house, these radios, and he was telling me, yo, I'm gonna put this tape in here, we're gonna rap on this, and then I'm gonna put it over here, and then we're gonna rap on it, we're gonna play the beat over here, we're gonna rap, and I was like, okay, this. He didn't know at the time he was stacking, you know what I mean? But that's how it started, and my younger brother taught me how to do bars, like, because he right to this day, he's still the freestyle king. Shout out to Raw Dog. But yeah, that's how the rap came into play. My brother Debo locked up right now. He got life. He been gone 20 years too. So.
Okay, and then that's the purpose of the sunglasses.
Yeah, that's why I wear the sunglasses. He used to wear the white shades.
And so you will always wear them.
Yeah, until they free him, definitely.
Okay, so back to rap. In terms of influences, did you have any of those?
You mean rap?
In rap. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say, I didn't have any influences or whatever, but, like I said, we was into the singers and stuff like that, and then you got to think of it, being in Perry Homes and in Bankhead and stuff like that, too many people wouldn't get in the latest CD, latest tapes, it was 2-3 people had a Walkman, you know what I mean? You kind of knew the people who had the Walkman and stuff like that, and it's crazy because, people don't know how hard the projects was back then, the whole time.
I want to know about that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what that was like because, again, like, to me, once again, like, I didn't necessarily grow up in Atlanta, but just because my mom taught for the Atlanta public school system, I was exposed to what was going on in that area during that time. So what was it like?
Man, just imagine going to prison at 17 and being in there at 19 and not having a phone to call home to. It's not the point that you can't get in touch with anybody, it's not the point. You got to write to people, and wait when everybody should have a phone by this point. So that's how hard it was. And I mean, all your family stay in the same neighborhood, and so you ain't nobody got no phone. You got to call the neighbor for 2 years and have somebody is that hard.
Okay, and then obviously, you were one of the founding members of D4L.
Yeah.
So how did growing up
No, I actually wasn't one of the founding members of D4L. D4L, the rap group, I may be a founding member of the rap group, but D4L existed a long time before I got there.
So what is D4L?
D4L is down for life, basically. Shawty Low, he came from a crazy place, and he had already established his roots, and that was it. It was D4L before I came to the picture. I came into the picture like a draft pick,
So D4L was something completely different.
It was a whole entity before I got there. They were strong. They already had, Lowe was doing foundations. We already had R.I.P. Shot Low too. That was my brother. And man, he was already doing all these wonderful things. So.
When you say so it was a charity?
Yeah, I mean, he used to throw these basketball tournaments. I mean, he did more than give away one turkey on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
He was
so
there.
he took care of the hood.
Yeah, he was just one of those dudes. If he had it, you had it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so how would you define your role in D4L? Like, how did you come into the fold?
Oh, man. We used to be battling at the pool palace. Like, man, there was 100 of them dudes. I'm telling you. You know how you in the talent show and you trying to win the money? I need this $100. I need this $100. But it's like, man, it's like every day, it's like 100 of them already. So every group that get up there, they already got 30 people cheering for them. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I had to get better at my craft or whatever. And, I guess they got tired of battling me, because somebody had came to me and said, they were, nah. I was already dealing with Shot Low on a whole nother tip. And to get to see him, I used his sister. I went to school to a program with his sister. and I knew her. I knew her kind of, jumping on and off the bus or whatever, but I knew her. And I used her name to get over there to shop with him. And I ended up shopping with him on a whole nother tip, you know what I mean? And I went on the run, and, he started coming picking me up.
Okay. And this made me think of something. Since money was so tight with you growing up, what was the first big splurge you used some of your money for when you got money?
Gave a lot of it away. That was the first thing I did. You wouldn't believe it, but I gave a lot of it away. Okay. I felt like I was one of them people who felt like they didn't deserve it. Not all of it at the time, so I gave a lot of it away.
Right. Okay.
Should have been smarter about that, but I made up for it.
That's what's up. So tell me, the early days of D4L. What was it like when you guys were, in the studio, and then when you first started kind of buzzing on radio? Grind.
I just remember, we always plagued with going to jail back and forth. Lowell go to jail, Lamar go to jail, Stan go to jail. I went to jail. So when we made Bet You Can't Do It Like Me, we had already been on the road, but not, doing television, doing no major shows and nothing like that. But we did this one Jonesboro South Day show, and where the stage was set, a whole bunch of people was out there, all of us was together, all of us was at home at one time. And then I went to jail for 63 days. And so all while I'm in jail, I'm watching on the the Access channel. All the guards coming in there, the sheriff's like, yeah, man, we seen you on the show last night, but they locking us down before that, so I could never see the show, but everybody coming to tell me, but at the same time, Bet You Can't Do It Like Me just blowing up on the street. So everybody start coming in there doing the dance, and I'm like, man, let me out, man, it's pissing me off, so, and, when I got out, I just, first little money I got or whatever, I just wanted to go buy something big and all of that. And I go to the club, I got this big old chain on and all of this stuff right here. And it was just when the song came on, it's like, da-na-na, ba-na-na, and the whole club bust into the dance. Man, they almost got a tear. It was crazy,
What was that feeling like to hear your song on the radio for the first time and to actually, see people, rapping the words?
It's crazy, right? Because I was already in a group before that with me and Dro.
Young Dro?
Yeah, me and Young Dro was in a group called the Typhoid Out Chain Account. And drummer had already took off with the left, right, left and all of that. So being in there with him, being in there with them, and drummer being in jail and never getting a chance to experience, we were happy for him. So by the time when our stuff came on, we was on the road all the time or whatever. And we kind of just started hearing it, everywhere we went or whatever. It just didn't register at first or whatever. It was surreal, and then you get to the radio stations and stuff like that, and it's crazy. But we had already we was on before that with Bet You Can't Do It Like Me. And Bet You Can't, I like to say we had two different fames when you hear that song on the radio type of fame. Because when Bet You Can't Do It Like Me came out, we were so hot in the city. It was just your song on the radio was cool, but when the Laffy Taffy came out, and it was yo, your song number one, it was what? It was everywhere you go, and it was yo, stop playing with us. It was what? It's number one. And I think that was it went to another level then. That's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you did an article with Fader
Yeah.
a while ago. I mean,
Yeah.
almost 10 years or maybe 10 years ago. But
yeah, that was a long time ago. Just letting these folk know how old I am and stuff. I was a teenager then.
Me too. Well, in that article, you had mentioned that a lot of people, especially up north, didn't really respect the movement.
Yeah, I mean, Andre said it best. The South got something to say. We were still dealing with that. All the media, everything's in the North. And I think when they started calling the music snap music, we was getting pissed off, calling us candy rappers. And Low was going crazy, I can hear Low calling from jail right now. Man, I'm telling you, man. He was lit because he didn't have a voice. He was in jail. So, yeah, we dealt with it, man, going on that whole media run. Just, remembering the smile, just remembering how you got here, just probably kept us from attacking a lot of people, because a lot of people didn't know where we came from,
Yeah.
We was with Low every day, home, just, making the biggest of moves. And you come out of that, like I said, I was locked up for 63 days, so I had to make an adjustment to rap. You going from playing the street like it's supposed to be played every day to, yes ma'am, yes sir, hey, how you doing? I've never been one to really respect authority. So, getting in the situation where you got to listen to this dude look at you in your face and say, yeah, man, I ain't really like your song at first, but my girl, man, she liked that song. And I'm looking at the nigga like, I want to slap shit at you, but I can't. You feel what I'm saying? And we be on live radio. You feel me? Because I just got out of jail for plugging a nigga, so it like, you don't know. When I put on all these colors, I think it was more to have people look at me, so I couldn't do nothing wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was crazy, but I was broke too at the same time. That shit was the cheapest shit in the store. You know what I mean? I just made it work for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, we had to make an adjustment. Let's just say that it was an adjustment.
For sure. And then if you think about it, all you guys, come from this, notorious side of West
West side,
Atlanta.
niggas on one, West side. ATL, ho.
So coming from the west side of Atlanta, but then you know.
Whoa! Oh! Ah! We'll get minor outbursts like that every now and then. So, $2, I try to keep it. Stop, $2. Stop, Fabo.
Well, I think probably the questions were, you guys come from this, notorious side of Atlanta, but then you make a song like Laffy Taffy, so they're probably looking like, how do you make a song like Laffy Taffy?
Laffy Taffy. How do you make a song like Laffy Taffy? I don't know. You walk in the booth and you record it, like.
And I didn't mean it like that. I just meant that because you were getting so much disrespect from radio.
But you got to listen to the lyrics in the song. Like, let's say, I ain't know my little chain was all in my shirt and shit. You know what I mean? Just flex a little bit. Okay, every song that we made before that, I'm gonna kill a nigga, I'm gonna shoot a nigga, I'm gonna beat a nigga head in. Like, listen to the whole West Side Geek Music album. We gon' ride, we gon' roll, bust that security guard, burst the door, we gon' tear this motherfucker off, swing at them hoe. That was the song we had before Laffy Taffy, you see what I'm saying? Literally, everybody at the club knew that song because we was D4L and that was our hit, that ride roll. And, I was coming from Babes one night and the car broke down in front of Babes and a nigga ain't want to call the girl or whatever, at the time. So I left with who gave me a ride. You feel what I'm saying? I'm sorry, my lady, she know all that right now. We had them talks, but, we cool as shit now, you know what I mean? I'm a good nigga, hey, it happens. Black men don't cheat. But we made it back to D4L studio or whatever, and the song was, girl, shake that Tootsie Roll, but I'm just playing around in the booth trying to impress her. You feel what I'm saying? So the song was made in that moment. I'm trying to impress that girl in this moment. I'm gonna make a song while me and her in the studio tonight because she was singing on the song before that or whatever. And I had these 2 tracks from K-Rap, shout out to K-Rap, BHI. I had these 2 beats from K-Rap, which was, it's crazy because the 2 beats was I'm the Man and Laffy Taffy. So those are the 2 beats I had on that disc from K-Rap, you know what I mean? And I kept playing around with it, and it came out. Girl Shake That Laffy Taffy, and did the verse, and they came in the morning, like while we were still there, Stuntman came in, Movie came in, and as soon as they heard it, they jumped on it. You gotta think at the time, bitch can't do it like me was already like beaten. So, this that confidence, this that $100,000 in my pocket now, this that, that motivation, you feel like Low built the studio, all of that. So that's where the Laffy Taffy come from. It comes from that drive, but it happens in that moment, when you're not even thinking about it. So you're not thinking about what the next person thinking or who's gonna like this song, you're not even thinking that this song's gonna get out. I remember the first time we knew that Laffy Taffy was gonna be something, we had the song maybe 2 months, 3 months before we, let anybody hear it. And we was dealing with Johnny Cabell. Shout out to Johnny Cabell. That's my dog. Oh, hit at the hit. But we was at 112, and we was on stage. Y'all remember that 112? That 112 used to be lit. And they let us in. You know what I mean? And let us do our thing on stage. Johnny had us up in there, and I just remember the people saying, "Hey, yo, do that song again. Do that song again." And that's how Laffy Taffy was born. The people get what they want. People get what they ask for. We was promoting something totally different. We was on a whole so to all y'all who didn't like Laffy Taffy. the people choose their hits,
Yeah. Where were you, and I'm switching gears all the way, but where were you when you got the news about Low?
I was at home, man. It's like the worst news in the world. Like, I was at home, and somebody called me. I think it was my mama. Or somebody called me and was like, "You heard the news or whatever," and so that's how I got the news.
What do you think Low meant to Atlanta? I remember Beyonce had a tour during the same week that he passed, and she remixed They Know in one of her performances, and I just thought it was crazy.
Yeah, I watched that. I thought it was dope too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of artists went out there. Gucci Mane, a lot of people went out there and really showed that love that was supposed to be showed. The whole city showed up for Shawty, man. Like I said, R.I.P. Shawty, he was a good dude, but man, you just don't know. It's just I can't even describe what he meant to this city, because at the same time, you got to think. We was just talking about the Laffy Taffy. We had just went through that run. Shawty Low came back. After that, like we had already, been gone like maybe 2-3 years. I think Shop Boys was having a run, everybody was doing their thing. And everybody thought D4L was washed up. So what Shawty did in that moment was what thrust him into that, that legendary stratosphere. He wasn't gonna wait on me, nobody else. He jumped back in the music industry, boom, went and won a BET award, like something that was unheard of. So he was the people's champion, that to me, I felt like he was my champion at that time, you know what I mean? Because, I thought it was over too, for that D4L squad, but Shawty breathed life back into it. So, to the city and everybody, I just think that moment right there made him legendary in itself, on top of everything he had already done, and it's just, he a god.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I wanted to talk about coming up with the Scotty record. Yeah. Like that record, like, is classic at this point. So, how did you come up with that?
Oh, Scotty. I think Scotty had been brewing for a long time. Now, I actually had a slow version of it. When I spoke on the going to jail for like 23 days, I had like that end part that you hear, I'm geeked up. I can't make it on my own. And you had all of the people used to just be playing that in the trap and stuff. It was on Mook B's West Side Geek Music. And when my homeboy Freemo passed away the next morning, I had went to the studio and dropped that track. Doom, 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 doom. That's all it was, just in there about the I'm geeked up, I can't see all the walls. Maybe 3 takes, something like that. Just ripped the whole song. So yeah, but it was just that one part, and then when I came back in with Atlantic and Mike Karen, shout out to my dog Mike Karen, good dude. We came back in and we added the key dub just to get a hook, a different element, and everybody was mad about it, boy. Ooh, boy, because the song was already hot in the hood. You got to think, Geeked Up. D4L was already having a run in the hood with the Bitch Can't Do It Like Me. We had the Geeked Up. And I was already doing a little crazy show because, like I said, we was out for a long time and people wasn't giving us that due until the Laffy Taffy came along. Mm-hmm. So I was running that Geeked Up run, and the Geeked Up was just it was born in that moment. I think when the D4L situation started to die down, me going out on the Chitlin circuit, performing that song, the pills was on fire at this time. No, man. Maybe we was living in like that LSD era of our era. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was just like, I mean, I had some amazing times with this Scotty song.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's a wonderful experience, you know. People who actually have a chance to live that experience and make it out of it. You know, mine was a one-time experience, and not telling people about that one night that I had. But I mean, you know, I just think that people can relate to real life stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I believe that Scotty is. It's like, you got your songs about this. I think at the time you had Jeezy and all of these people that was giving you those real life moments, but everybody wasn't in the club like that. Everybody went, and I had homeboys who just didn't leave the corner, you know, and I was just describing one of our moments. You feel what I'm saying?
So, so how has Atlanta influenced your music? I mean,
Wow. In every way. Atlanta's influenced my music in every way. Kilo, Outkast, Goody Mob, the Young Bloods, Bone Crusher. I mean, just like I was saying, Keith Sweat, like a lot of these, the Jagged Edge, just, this is my life. Like every song got a day, got a time. I was graduating and this was going on. Oh, this is my first time in a stolen car. It's like, I got a sense of, it's a song for that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And and you always listening to local music. Like I said, you know, you getting the tapes that somebody gave you, DJ Jelly, MC Assault, those great tapes. Like, man, I used to tape it back together. Like, you don't understand. Like when it broke. Yeah. Like I was saying, I was going to Washington High. I used to walk across the street, the big right there. You know what I mean? And man, Atlanta has influenced my music in every way. My music would be nothing without Atlanta.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
If you had to describe the Atlanta culture to somebody that had never been here before, what would you tell them it's about?
Wow. Wow. That's all I can say. 559, 112,
Yeah.
the operas. Wow. Like I could just Magic City forever.
Yeah.
I mean, Magic City was the only strip club forever. It's just, man, yeah, Jelly Bean Sharon Showcase, Screaming Wheels. I mean, that was like my heyday. I used to just come to Screaming Wheel, you just see all these stolen IROCs and Cherokees parked up front, I swear, so yeah.
Last year, Drake came out with a song called "Nice for What,"
Shout out to Drake.
He mentioned you in the chorus. Well, a couple verses actually.
Yeah.
So, what did that mean to you? I mean, once again, you're from Atlanta, you know, born and raised here, and here Drake is from another, you know, country, he's from Canada, you know, referencing you all these years later. So, what did that feel like for you?
Man, highlight.
Yeah.
Definitely a highlight, you know. Shout out to Drake. I thought it was dope. You know. It's that trend setting stuff, the stuff that, you know, you do that you don't know you're doing. So just having my music influence him way up there, I thought it was dope.
Did it open you up to a different
yeah, like, man, it opened up a lot of doors, I can tell you that. But like I said, man, you know, when you out here and you grinding like that, you know, you never expect these things to happen. You know, that's the hard work that you put in. You feel what I'm saying? And for any artist that's out here to have somebody call your name, I think that's like the ultimate praise. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess lastly, why do you think Atlanta influences everything? Like, what does that statement
'Cause we the shit.
mean to you?
That's it. I mean, just look at history.
Sure.
I mean, from Lil Jon, I mean, just look at the history. Every time we step in, it's just like domination. You know, everybody had their periods. New York had their time. And it was short, might I say, you know, not as long as people may think, you know. And, I mean, you had Juicy J them with the Memphis movement. Yeah. You had Chicago, you know, you had Cleveland with the Bone Thugs movement. You had Houston them with the I mean, they had different runs, so that was dope too. The West Coast, but Atlanta's just always been a staple. TLC, just always there, nagging at you until we took over. You know what I mean? And shout out to JD and all of those guys too, man. You know, just always keeping it alive. So I think at every period in music history, we've had a chance to intervene, and it goes all the way back to Gladys Knight. Just like,
For sure, yeah.
always had a chance to just get in there and stick it to them, you know. So, I mean, that's how we influence music. We influence it by always being there. That consistency, you know, you can always find an Atlanta artist in the mix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I guess if we have time, where do you get your like fashion sense from? Because you've always been different in that respect.
I don't know. I just go in the store looking for whatever I can afford. I'm just being honest. It's flat out, and you just want to be the one that they're looking at. Just definitely.
Okay.
You know. But like I said, with the felines and the Dickies, I think one day I went in the store. I had maybe $100 on me, or whatever. We was going on like a 3 or 4 day trip. I had been at the Comfort Inn at Travelodge down on Ford and Industrial for maybe about 2 weeks, you know. So I had got a little money from a show and stuff like that or whatever, maybe about $600. I ain't want to spend it all in one place, you know. So yeah, I took about $100 and got me maybe about 4 pair Dickies, 2 pair felines. I think they were 2 for $69, and yeah, you know where I was, right? I walked in there and just picked it out. You know, you had orange and green and black Dickies. I had never seen that. You know, you always walk by, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah. But that day I was locked in. So I think, you know, that's where it started at. Just going in there trying to spend whatever you got in your pocket. And right to this day, you know, I go in and, you know, I may have a little bit more leeway right now.
Right.
Do a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's where my fashion sense come from, whatever I can afford.
Yeah,
you know.
I feel you on that.
You have cravings too, though. Like Jordan number 6s, it's just like I see them, I don't care what's going on. Like 4s, I don't care. I gotta have them. Like, you know, so yeah, cravings.
Right, for sure.
Versace shades, oh, that white, oh, I gotta get those, boy. You know, So.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes the questions that I have. So we're going to open it up to the floor. If anybody has any questions for Fabo, there are mics on either side of the stage here.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's up?
That John Kerr.
All right, yeah.
I'm talking about,
you know it.
that Scott Elementary.
Yeah, Scott Elementary.
Pitts.
Believe it.
Ponderosa.
Believe that. Ponderosa.
Clarissa Drive. Carey Circle.
Gun Club.
You already know.
You know EOA.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Hey, man. I got a question for you, big bro.
Okay, big bro.
Can you let the people know how important that pool palace was to the culture, and also how important Born Immaculate, DJ Monte, and K-Rab was to the success of D4L and Fabo? Fuck with you, boy.
Yeah, man, the pool palace is a crazy question that you asked, man. The pool palace was everything, dog. The pool palace was everything. It started on Hollywood Road. You know, that's where it started at. And we was walking up there about a mile and a half to whatever. And when it started jumping off, he needed a bigger place, so he moved over to Bankhead. And he spoke on K-Rab. K-Rab, one of those groups that came in there that I had to battle with them dudes. Like K-Rab, he had this other big dude with him. He had Static with him. I remember all of them. You had Baker Road Click up in there at that time. You know, you had Shop Boys up in there at that time. You know, and it was deep. Like, we was deep in there. And we came in there every week to compete. You know, I remember K-Rab getting on stage singing that little country song that he had way before Nas X. You know what I mean? And people used to always tell me, you need to go in with K-Rab, you need to go in with K-Rab. But we started hanging out on a whole nother tip. We was over in, what you call it, what's the name of those apartments right across the street from whatever the apartments is right by Bankhead Station. We started hanging over there. And one morning, yeah, overlook Atlanta. We started hanging out over there, whatever. And I was with Jazzy one morning, and Jazz was like, K-Rab up there. I went over Static House. We went over Static House. I gave him the keys. He went to the studio and he dropped Laffy Taffy and I'm the Man. That's how he dropped those 2 tracks. I gave him my keys, so K-Rab was real important. Born Immaculate taught me how to work the beat machine. You know, him and Mook B. I already had a little skills at trying to do a little something, but they really showed me how it worked. You know what I mean? And right to this day, I still use everything I learned from them. So they was instrumental in, you know, everything that I become. Definitely. And the Pool Palace. Great question.
That was a great question.
Okay, so first I just have to do this for the East Side real quick. Yeah. All right. One time. Okay. I just had to get that out of my system. All right. So I'm a really big fan of the Boondocks, and there's only been like ever 2 songs that have been not like produced by someone on the Boondocks, and one of them was Gold Digger, and the other one was Laffy Taffy. Yeah. And so with you having that much influence, do you feel your influence in other states? I know she spoke on Drake mentioning you before, but do you feel respected outside of the A?
Oh yeah, I mean, we definitely get the love that we're supposed to get. So yeah, if that's the question, yeah, everywhere I go, like, I haven't really been anywhere that, you know, somebody didn't know who I was, like, you know, 1 out of every 5 people in the room probably because of Thug and Drake, you know, so that's dope. Shout out to Thug too. It's a dope shout out. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like I get the love all over the world, actually. You know, I've been places, you know, I could say I've been in Burma or somewhere and ducked off with some Jamaican-looking dude about to get something to smoke. And he take me in here to Mama. And Mama, I walk in and Mama was on the Cupid Shuffle. She knew DJ Unk too. Like, we want to get them at the club tonight. I was like, what the hell? Like, yeah, she ran the whole little, you know, thing, but when it stayed over there like maybe 2 days, I think Lil Scrappy was with us too. And she was playing all of that Southern music, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I thought that was dope. So yeah, Atlanta influences everything.
Hey.
Hello.
I know you said you went to Y High, but I'm amazed how, girl, you know, the hill is real, so I had to shout Maze out.
You said, I heard Maze.
You said you went to Washington.
Yeah.
But I'm a Maze girl.
Oh,
so I just had to let them know real
okay.
quick. But I grew up on you, like, watching 106 in Park in front of the TV trying to get my
Yeah, definitely. Hey.
I can really hit it, but I'm not going to do that right now.
You're doing a great job.
So it was a post on Instagram recently, like, the hood is an indigenous community that needs to be saved, right? And we know Atlanta is getting gentrified right now. So do you feel that you have a role in maintaining our culture? And if so, like, what you doing to do that?
That's a great question. Me, myself, I'm not one of the advocates for us staying in the hood, so to speak. You know what I mean? I'm one of them kids who was given the Tiger Woods book, the Michael Jordan book. And back then, we used to be saying to ourselves, like, and now I feel kind of ungrateful to a certain extent that we used to always be like, they just want us to do sports and this, you know, that's all they trying to make us play basketball, football, and, you know, that was, you know, our attitude back then. And, you know, I just hear my mama saying, you know, when you get a chance, you know, you got to get up out of here. You know, this ain't the place. And then just watching, you know, all my homeboys, I can say this much right here. It's just, you know, a lot of the kids that I was supposed to graduate with today in my graduating class or whatever, 80% of them dropped out. I mean, I want to say half of the dudes dead right now, and that's sad. You know what I mean? Probably lost their life to some senseless stuff, just being in a situation that you have no control over. When I say no control, it means that you can't control where you're born at. You know what I mean? You have no control over your destination. So I think breaking the cycle is more of what I'm thinking about. So when you speak on gentrification and stuff like that, I think it's more reason to argue about a situation that I don't want to have nothing to do with anyway no more. because I don't own any bricks, any gas stations, anything over there. I'm trying to build a future for my kids. So if I don't like it here, I'm not trying to glorify it or anything. I may tell you of some stories, so you won't find yourself in that same situation. If you're in a likewise situation one day, you will want to definitely be up on your guard or something, because when I was over here, this type of stuff could happen quick. So just giving you some game is cool, but putting you in the mentality where you want to be there, I don't think that's right. You know what I mean? I think we all should strive to do something better, than be in one place all the time. And that's what I mean by that. Just being in one place. I think when you're stuck in the hood, you don't get a chance to experience the world. This may be a great place or a terrible place to some people, but when you isolated from the world, I think that's a problem.
Thank you.
What would you say then to Nipsey Hussle, who...
No, I think with Nipsey, I think that's what I'm saying. You want to build. What I say, you don't own a gas station, you don't own a brick here. If you want to make it a better place, then do what Nipsey did. Change your neighborhood, so to speak, buy it back, buy it up, or build in a new place and move these people there, or something like that. Just doing something different, other than standing on the corner all day right here or this, that, and the other. Because I remember growing up and I watched these LA gang stories about these gang guys coming back, giving back to the hood, up and standing in the hood, trying to do that type of stuff. And I think I was more influenced by that type of stuff even then. So seeing it way back then, I think Nelson probably watched that same type of stuff and was building on that. So it's just being able to get out and then come back and do something. I was just speaking on being there all the time, drinking the 6-pack on the corner, not wanting to see what's past the gas station, that mentality, trying to break that cycle.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you for doing this talk, first of all, because being somebody who grew up in Atlanta, like the skating rinks, that was D4L, like all day long.
Definitely. Cascade.
And when I think about a lot of the songs that D4L made, and like you as well, they're really like up-tempo party tracks. And I'm wondering, how did you channel like a lot of the grief that you felt, like even with going in and out of jail and like having friends who were dying? Like, how did you focus on the music, or did you seek therapy? Was music your therapy?
Therapy. Black people therapy.
A conversation.
Yeah, your mama is therapy. You better get your motherfucking ass out of the street. Stick your goddamn hand in that. The boy with the hair won't you hear me calling you? That was therapy right there. But I mean, a lot of people are not able to focus. I always, tried to. I guess I always wanted to just be the one to focus, because you can see a lot of people without that focus. And I think I draw from those experiences. Like, I like to say that the reason why my mama was so hard on me, because she had shit to do. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you didn't want to get beat, you didn't want to get slapped for something stupid or something crazy or whatever after a while, because she in the streets, she you can see how she moving or whatever. She just ain't got time for you to be getting caught doing this, getting caught doing that. And hustling back then, pulling moves, jugs, scamming, doing all of this. So when you in the studio, when you feel like the job got to get done or whatever, you block all of that out, and you kind of focus on the task at hand. So I guess that's what I do. I block out all the noise and I focus on the task at hand. And I do that right to this day. I'm trying to get to Mars. That's going to take a lot of focus.
Thank you.
They want $2 billion. I ain't going on the first flight. I'm going to see how the first flight goes.
Wow. All right. I'm Cuddy from Chalant Magazine. This is a flashback. Hey, Tamiko. So no, this is a flashback. A couple weeks ago, we at the Rhythm and Flow. I'm sitting there talking to you and Zane outside. How does it make you feel to know these babies that's now in college weren't even old enough to know music, but they know who Fabo is and they know that you are Atlanta? I've seen numerous babies, freshmen, running up to you and snapping and doing the dance. How does that make you feel personally?
Man, it's fascinating, man. That's one thing. I'm amazed, at still having an impact. Because like I said, in these moments, you're not thinking about that. I'm just trying to eat. Like, right. I'm tired of the ketchup sandwiches. I'm tired of, and then people think when you say that, I'm tired of the ketchup sandwiches, they thinking you talking about, when you was young. No. Like, you eating ketchup sandwiches well into the 20s. Like, it was some days that it get that hard. Right. You know what I mean? So to come up out of that, and to be able to deliver some type of message, that was, semi-positive, but at the same time, influential to what they want to do as far as a dance move or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's powerful, man. To be a trendsetter is powerful, and to be one of those people, I'm forever grateful. Yeah. So definitely.
I think it's a testament to you just being yourself. So just stay that way.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Thanks, man. Means a lot.
Hey, what's up, cuz? I wanted to first of all say thank you for sharing your story and your input on this thing of ours of Atlanta.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where you kind of seemed to take a hiatus from music, and there was a resurgence of interviews, and you spoke about seeking higher education, and I just wanted to know what that period was like for you and how it affected you now and even then.
Oh, I just wanted to smoke some different weed other than the United States weed. I mean, that's what I was speaking on in that situation. It was kind of a joke, But, I can give you a story, though. Like, when the first time I got off the plane in Kuwait, I think, and coming out of the airport, it's like 40 people out there with the same vest on, same pants, and they just like ripping at you. Trying to take your bag to the car. All of this stuff, my bags got missing in this point or whatever. Everybody looking for my bags. The whole time, I know I'm going to Iraq. So I kind of like phased through all of this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think I remembered that until later on. So my mind was so focused on Iraq. And when I get on the Black Hawk, they give me this vest or whatever, and they like, put the vest on, and I was like, man, what I'm gonna need? I'm in the Black Hawk. I don't need no vest. And you got the dude on the thing, but it actually was a woman. She on there, she looking, the whole time or whatever. And we get off the Black Hawk or whatever. And he was like, yo, give me the vest. And I was like, no, we on the ground now. This Iraq. Like, I'm not giving you this vest or whatever. Like, and so then I take like 10 steps maybe, and I was like, hey, get this vest. And it's that hot. And then you get over there and you see all the soldiers, over there, like up close. Like, this ain't Fox 5, this ain't CNN. They right in front of you with these big guns, and they getting up at 6 in the morning, and and I was supposed to go do one show, and I ended up doing 5 shows or whatever. And after a while, it was like 16 shows. And then I went to Japan, and then I went to South Korea, and so. After a while, I didn't know I was gone so long. I just felt like I had a purpose at that point. You know what I mean? And I did a lot of those bases after that. So that was part of my hiatus. I did a lot of other stuff, but we'll talk about that after the show. But yeah, I think that was it. Seeing the world was a wonderful thing. You should do it. Yeah. Sounded like it was a sad answer or something, but it was fucking dope, dude, when you go back and think about it. Because when you think of it, it's like people are really scared to get off and, get off in Iraq or something like that. And I went in like 2013, so it was still the green zone, like Operation Freedom was going on. We actually went to Saddam's palace. But to see those soldiers over there risking their lives every day for you, I felt like for a while, in this zone, focused on, I want to go to another base. I want to see another base. And we went to 5 bases over there, when we was only supposed to do 1. So we flying across here in the Black Hawk. But, just seeing the way they took care of us, I wanted to go to Japan to see how those soldiers were doing. I wanted to go to Germany to see it, and I was dealing with the same people, so they was enabling me to do that, and I thought it was dope, and I spent a lot of time doing that, and it enabled me to have other opportunities, and yeah, it was dope. So yeah, see the world. Yeah. All right.
All right. Are there any more questions or? That's it? Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Now, before we go, we're not done yet. We're about to have this unveil, and we almost ready? We ready? All right. Okay. So, if we had a drum roll, this would be where it goes right now. You know what I mean? There we go. Thank you, guys. Hey. Again, thanks to Powerhouse Creatives for bringing out JR Outlaw.
Yo, that's dope.
Killing it.
Yo, that's dope, dude. Thanks a lot, man.
Yes. So y'all please give a round of applause for JR Outlaw. Make some noise for our lovely narrator, Tamiko Hope. And last but not least, make some noise for the man himself, Fabo. Barbara! And thank you guys so much for coming out today to Storyboard. Thanks again to Auburn Ave Research Library for having us again. Thank you to Fulton County Arts and Culture. And thank you guys for coming and experiencing this with us. Y'all have a lovely night.
Man, this is awesome.
I don't know anything about the flickering lights.
Now we just read.